Welcome to the Psychic Training Ground, the most encouraging, supportive, uplifting place to be. This place is for students, teachers, trainees, and professionals who wish to help those who wish to help themselves.
Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning, depending on which part of the world you're listening from. And this is the Psychic Training Ground. And a very, very happy 2012 to all our listeners. Our very first show of the year, very excited to speak to a wonderful Benjamin Stubbs. We'll be talking about him, his life, and his wonderfully hysterical autobiography. So, without any further ado, I shall bring him on the air. Hello, Benny. Are you there?
Good afternoon, Nick. How are we doing? Okay?
Very, very well. Happy New Year, mister.
Happy New Year to you too. Great to hear your voice. Did you have a good New Year?
Yes, I did. I'm going to ask you a very leading question.
Oh, go on.
How good was 2011 for you? No, not was it good, but how good was it?
Oh, it was a brilliant year. A brilliant year. As the roller coasters of life go, and normally when you say roller coaster, you're kind of like hinting that some bad things happen. But as the roller coaster of life went, it was a brilliant year. I moved to a different country, stayed the summer there, learnt and grew, and just had a brilliant, met loads of great people, got in contact with some old people, never felt more comfortable in my skin. It's been a brilliant year, an absolutely fantastic year, and even more excited about 2012 now, because from that kind of change, I feel like I've got a more solid base to build an even better life ahead of me, really. So yeah, I'm really excited. What about you?
Loving that. Oh yeah, 20. I know. I have heard a lot of people say that it was like the worst year, and they couldn't wait for it to be over. But for me, it was by far and away the best year. I mean, as it always is. I mean, it's every year. It's like, okay, how can next year get better? But the universe continues to surprise and delight. And looking forward to this year. Have you got any exciting things planned for this year, or anything you want to pre-pave or anything like that?
Oh, good one, Nick. I like that. This year, I really want to combine all my loves into a career. That's what my aim is for this year, and that's what I believe has already started to happen. And infuse all the loves that I've got in life. So when I get up every day, I go to quote unquote work, skipping, knowing that I'm doing the things that I absolutely love and getting paid for it as well. So that's my aim for this year, and things have already started to kind of slip into place, which is brilliant. So yeah, that's my plan for this year. But again, as ever, I found in the past, if I plan too much, then the things always change. What I do is I kind of set general goals of where I would like to go, but then just let the universe surprise me with what it brings, because most times what it's brought me has been better than what I'd even planned. So
yes. Ding, ding, ding. That is a really, really good point, because for the longest time since learning but I have avoided, if people, especially if you meet people who aren't necessarily into this work, or even people who are into this work, people say, what are your goals and what are your ambitions? What do you want to achieve? And I'm like, I don't know. I just want to feel good and be happy. And I trust that will take me to wherever I'm meant to be, and things go even better. So.
Oh, exactly. Last year, I keep getting in 2012. Like last year, I went to Ibiza and I thought, I could do this, could do this. Ended up most of it DJing most of the time, which is something people go there and would pay money to DJ in Ibiza, and I got to do it, and I absolutely loved it. It wasn't something I'd planned to do originally, but ended up DJing full time the second half of the summer, and absolutely loved it. Did I want to do it all the time? No, but I absolutely loved that part of my life for DJing. I got paid to play music that I loved and watch people respond, and to, watch what they liked and play. In some ways I was like trying to please them, but pleasing them with songs that I loved. So it was a win-win situation. And again, I mean, what a great another thing to put on my kind of, my spiritual CV that I've DJed in Ibiza. Not to kind of be cool, just because it's a brilliant thing to have done. And again, that got brought to me. And so that's why I don't plan and have ideas, like you said. I'm more general with my goals now. And yeah, I might have the odd day where I kind of visualise, this could happen. And yeah, it couldn't as well. It just made me feel good to think about it. And if that comes, Whereas before I used to get quite, I always say to people I'm going to do this, and then I don't do that. I do something totally opposite. And I used to feel bad about that. I was thinking, why is that bad? I'm doing something I love. Who cares what other people think of me? And that's one of the things that I've really grown through in 2011 and excited about, is that I've dropped a lot of resistance, a lot of baggage of what people think of me, which is one of the most important things you can really do, because the more you care about yourself, and it's to the outside world, it looks like you don't care about the people, but by actually caring for yourself, you're actually caring for them more, because you're giving them a more authentic you.
Absolutely. And I mean, we'll come back to this later, but speaking of DJing, did you get to play any Wakefield?
Do you know what? I never did play Wakefield, unfortunately. But I would have loved... Do you know what? I think I might have played that Think of You, possibly. I think I might have played it once. Actually, no, I didn't. Do you know what? I remembered. It's towards the end of the season, right? It's a long story. But what happened? We shut earlier than what we thought we were going to shut. So when we shut it, I didn't realise it was the last night. So on the last planned night, I thought I'd play some cheesy stuff. And we shut earlier, so I couldn't play it. But I had it lined up. I found it on the system, and I thought I'll play that. But I never did. But yeah, I think that was for the universe getting involved. But
we'll have to come back to that, because that was my first real lull moment of your book.
Yeah, there's cringing moments in there.
That's
but yeah,
it's hysterical. Okay. Well, that's brought us nicely to the book. So tell us about it. Is it something that you wanted to do for a while, or was it just a new thing that you thought, I'll write a book? How did it all come about?
Sure, it's weird. Probably a bit of both. I know it sounds a bit contradictory, but it always would have been fun to write a book. And then one day I was chatting to a friend, and she said, we're on about books and writing books. She said, well, when you feel like you've got a message to tell, she said there's something that's happened in your life that by telling it you could assist other people, then she went, it'll come. And then I realised that night that I had issues with being gay when I was younger, and with a lot of people do. And I realised that, well, hang on, if this law of attraction is true, this conscious creation, there's a lot of words for it, but basically, if new listeners are listening, that the law of attraction, or that conscious creation, means that your outside world is mirroring your inner thoughts and your feelings, basically. And I thought, well, hang on, if people are being homophobic to me in my outside world, then I must be slightly homophobic, and that's a strong word, but it's true, to myself. And then when I realised that, it all kind of come all of a sudden, and then I realised that, and I thought, well, this is brilliant, because that could possibly, assist other people in assisting themselves, because that's what I love about the Psychic Network, so this Psychic Training Ground. Because Psychic Network, sorry. One of the mottos that you say, I think I've heard you say it a few times, is helping people to help themselves. Yes, and that's what I love. I didn't want to write a book that, oh my God, it's awful being gay, oh, I got bullied. Yeah, I did. But it's not the be all and end all. It wasn't, I don't want people to get, go, in the book. There are probably points in there, but that's just part of the kind of the story. Like life is a roller coaster up and down, but I want people to know my story, but not feel too bad about it. Realise that I've had a good life with it, but I wanted to kind of get across that I'm a normal guy and I've gone through normal things, but being gay was an issue for me. And then I realised that you can kind of change it eventually. It's more like the book's more like I said, it is like an autobiography in some sense, but I just wanted people to get to know me, that I'm not some person that goes and sits on a hilltop for 14 hours and meditates. I still go out on a Friday night, I still go out dancing, I still love doing quote unquote normal things, but I've realised this power of your life starts with you, and you can influence change by changing the way you thought and your thoughts and the way you think. And that's what I wanted to put across in the book, just in a kind of fun, light way, but you get to see what I've gone through as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's perfect. Now, actually, about the process of writing the book, how long did it take? How long did you have to work through it? How did it all come together?
Right, well, when I decided to write it, it's that inspired action we always hear a lot about. That I just kind of felt in the zone. I can see why people, when they do athletics, when they say, I'm in the zone, I just felt, I write. But how do I write? And then I started to kind of, try to take, ownership of it. I'll write chapters first, and then I thought, hang on, let's take it easy. I don't know what chapters to do. So I just sat there and just started writing. That's why it starts, hi, the first line, go, hi, I'm sat at my desk, thinking about writing. And then it just all flowed from there. The chapters were all written in them orders. So first chat about my nan and granddad. I thought, this is random, chatting about my nan and granddad, but that's what I wanted to chat about. And then it goes through, and then eventually, it took about 3 months to write, majority of it. And then I had a block because I didn't know how to end it, because I wrote up to my life. Because originally, you know, when you start thinking of ideas, I thought, I write about my life, then about the kind of the teachings that I've learned, you know, about how, you know, the simple thing that we attract our own lives and we can change it by changing our thoughts. And then I was going to, then the second half was going to be how I changed it. And I got to the point where I was getting up to the point where I discovered, you know, conscious creation and the law of attraction and whatnot. And then I was like, oh, I don't know what to write now. I don't know how to do it. And I spoke to a good friend called Tom Evans who helps authors when they have like a block as such. And he said, well, why don't you just finish it? Why don't you just tell them what you learn and finish it? Because then it leads, you know, to a second book, or it leads to kind of, you know, talks and whatnot. And that's what I decided to do. So I kind of just finished writing about my life, and then just wrote what I'd learned. But then I thought, well, how can I write it? Because there's either two camps. You have either the people that know nothing about that they create their own reality, and the people that know it. And I thought, I don't want to kind of convert the converted. Not that I want to convert anyone, but I don't want to kind of say law of attraction, because you guys know it. But the same breath, I didn't want to kind of bamboozle the people, because it is a big, you know, when I first learned about The Secret, it was like, what? I attract everything. I attracted the bullying. I attracted everything. But then I realised that it isn't that you attract everything. It's I see it in a more positive light, that you have the power to change your life. Isn't that so much better than you created that? Well, yeah, it's not nice what I went through, but I can change it. I'd rather know that I can change my life rather than it being a random... If you had a car crash, for example, would you know it was a random act, or would you rather know you've done it and you can change it? I'd rather know that I've done it, personally, and I got the power to change it. So what I did was, well, how am I going to write that? And then it just popped in my head again, inspired action, that I thought, why don't I just, you know, write like a fable? There's a lot of wisdom in a lot of children's stories, you know, like Mary Poppins, Wizard of Oz, and they kind of seed them with like information. So I thought, why not just write it as a fable? A bit random. So that's what I did. So the last 2-3 chapters is a fable, and it's a ladybird and an owl, and the ladybird just kind of asks some questions about life, and the so-called wise owls tell him what I've learned. So then you can it's like an easier way to take it in, and then you can reread it. But when I wrote it, I tingled all the way through writing them chapters. And when I did finish it, I was like, oh, is this right? And I looked up, and there was a massive rainbow outside my window.
Oh, wow.
Massive rainbow. And that's one of the confirmations that I got. So that's a bit about the book, really, and how I come about it. So it's a bit autobiographic, because I want people to know that I'm just a normal guy, whatever normal means. But I have this power to think in the positive as much as you can. You know what I mean?
Cool. Now, you said it took a couple of months. What was that? Was that like an hour every day, or a couple of hours one day and a day off? How did that actually pan out?
I was working full time at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I just kind of wrote it in the evening. I'd just kind of sit there. I'd always put some sort of music on that got me in the mood. Like, I love Tiesto. And I'd put, like, yes. You know what? I did, like in the book, I did play a Wigfield track when I was writing. I thought, oh, I miss Wigfield, so I YouTubed it and listened. But yeah, I didn't listen to Wigfield, unfortunately. But I did listen to a lot. You just wanted to get that in, didn't you?
I know.
You were seeding me for that dig. But yeah, so I used to listen to music, and then I just get in the flow, and cause I don't watch much telly anyway, and I'm not going to demonise telly like a lot of people say. Switch off. There's some great things on telly, and it's great entertainment. But we have to realise it's not the be-all and end-all of life, and you can't believe everything that you see. But I just switch it off and thought, right. And I just feel in the mood to do it. I was in the mood to do it, and then I would do it, and then just sit there and think, okay. And what I kind of followed the pattern where I would, I'd write a chapter, I'd finish the chapter, and then I'd leave it. The next time I'd log on to write, I'd then quickly review the last chapter, just quickly move some things, just double check it for basic grammar, and then move on to the next chapter, because that rereading my first chapter kind of got me back in the flow of my story, does that make sense? And then I'd move on. So it kind of like, I wrote normally, I'd probably have a night I'd write 2-3 hours, and then I couldn't sleep all night because my brain was like, just buzzing. And yeah, that's how I did it. If I had that mental block, I was just thinking, how am I going to finish it? And then Tom Evans was great, and he just said, well, why don't you just finish it there? And I did, because I mean, you don't need to know what I'm doing, because my life's ever changing. I mean, I'd finished, if I was still writing it now, the end of the book would have been different than if I would have wrote it in 6 months. It would have been different. So just by finishing off what I learned, then people can, move on from there. If that makes sense. So I don't have to keep updating it.
Now, I don't know what you're like as a worker, but for me, I would find that really hard to write consistently for a couple of months. Did that come easily to you, or did you have to, at some point, say, just sit down and write it? How did all that play out for you?
Oh, no, it wasn't. I wrote every night. Oh, God, I didn't do that at all. When I felt to write, I'd write it. Some days it might write 2-3 days in a row, then I just wouldn't. I tried my best not to kick myself for it, because the thing is, the book was for me. I wanted to write books. I wanted to write a book. Do you know what I mean? If one person read it or 1 million people read it, I just wanted to write a book, because we're here in life, to enjoy it and grasp it by its horns and ride the ride of life. And I thought, why not write a book? So I had to keep every time I started to feel pressure about writing it, I thought, oh, hang on, why am I feeling so, what am I doing? This is like a product I've got to put out there. Well, no, I wanted to write a book, so let's just take the pressure off it. So if I didn't want to write it, I wouldn't write it. If I wanted to watch telly, I'd watch telly. But when I felt like doing it, I'd think, I'll do it tonight then. It's that following your inspired action. We shouldn't try and force anything. I think I should be doing this, I should be doing that. There's nothing we should be doing. The F word and the other words shouldn't be swear words. Should and shouldn't should be swear words. There's nothing you should do. If I even wrote half the book and stopped writing it, I enjoyed the process of writing it. You know what I mean? And that's what I try to keep in my head, that I'm not writing it for anyone else, I'm writing it for me. Because at certain points I thought, is that a bit rude? Because, as you know, I've wrote some really personal things in there about, my sex life, and not because I want to be, talk about my sex life, it's just funny, and it's part of the story, and I thought, oh, did my parents read that? And, my family, but I thought, well, that's part of my life, do you know what I mean? And that's me again, I'm not some prude that, doesn't talk about sex or thinks we shouldn't talk about it. That's part of my life, and that's part of my humour, and that's why that's in there as well. So there's certain parts of the books I have to keep reading it back in and go, actually, this is for me. What would I want to read in a book? What would I want to read? I'd want to read them in the book. So I wrote it as how I speak. So hopefully you got that I kind of wrote it. Everyone that I've read it said, it feels like I'm hearing you talk.
Yeah.
That's the way I wanted it to be written. And then to make it fun and light and hopefully easy to read in some sense.
Cool. So how did you decide what went in it and what time frames you were working on, and how did the book pan out as a timeline of your life?
Again, I know I sound like a kind of repeating kind of record, but I just took it day by day. I did not know what the next chapter was in. Fair dues, I had an idea that it kind of went through life on a kind of timeline as such, but it like certain points kind of do backdates. Like I talk about my college life, then I talk about my kind of first experience with girls, which was actually before my college life, but in a chapter after, because it made more sense to talk about it there. When I was starting to talk about my feelings with girls and guys, and did I fancy girls? Because a lot of people say that, because in the book obviously I talk about kind of being with girls, and then realising that actually guys was more what I was interested in. But people say, well, you must have always known. But unless you've been there, it's really hard to explain the feelings that you were feeling. So sometimes in the books I felt like I was contradicting myself, but it wasn't, because that's where I felt. I was so in the closet. I so denied the fact. I really believed that I wasn't, even though I knew that I was. It's such a weird feeling to try and describe to people that you know you like guys, but you kind of don't know you like guys, if that makes sense. And that's what I kind of I said with the book. I just try to write as much as I can day by day, and as in what I felt to write about that day. And I didn't move any of the chapters about. I moved nothing about. I just kept it. Do you know what I mean? That order it's in now is the order that I wrote it. Obviously, I went back and edited in the editing stages, but most of it stayed the same. And my grammar isn't great, and I don't use the biggest of big words, but that's not, again, taking mick out people that do, but that's not how I speak. So it was just, I just took it each day. I know, I get what you're hinting at the question, but I didn't try and plan it too far ahead. I just wrote for that day. In the moment, what I want to write about, I wrote about that. And then next day I thought, actually, I write about that, and all that memory come in, and then I never went back and altered anything. I never went back and and thought, I'll add that in there now. I just went day by day by day, and that was the flow of the book. And hopefully that comes across, even though I kind of do jump back in time now and again. Hopefully it makes sense with the flow and the order of the chapters. I think.
Yeah, no, because it reads very well, and like it progresses really nicely, and I was very impressed at how it all pieced together. So you had finished the book. Did you get it proofread? Did you run it by any friends or family, or did you just think, this is going out as it is?
Well, yeah, I did. I had a good friend called Carol who I met when I did a talk down in Cannock. I think it's Cannock. I did a spirit fair doing a talk about law of attraction down there in the beginning of the year, and then a friend Raven invited me to do a talk at their circle, like a kind of where they all meet up. And I did a talk there, and I met this lady called Carol and a few others, and we kept in contact, and she liked to proofread. So I said, well, do you want to proofread? I asked her if she wanted to do it, and she said, yeah. So she was brilliant, and I thank her for that. She did it for free of charge as well. Give her a little mention in the back, but obviously I'm very grateful for that. She went through it. She read it obviously cold, as in she didn't know my life, so it was great in that sense. And she went, I don't understand that, so I changed the odd word, or how I put certain things, and she was great. So she kind of proofread it. And then it was that thing of just kind of, what about publishers? And just, again, Tom Evans was fantastic. He said, why don't you just self-publish it? And then, because, again, it was just more for me, Nick. I know, obviously, I'd love it to sell a million copies. Of course I would. But I wrote it because I wanted to write it, and I thought, I'm just dropping the resistance with it. I'm not going to go, you need to get a publisher. Everyone kept saying, who's publishing it? I said, well, it's called, what's it called? Not self-publishing, it's assisted publishing. So I did it kind of through online, where you could just do it all for you. You pay so much a month. They'll then link it to certain websites. I can buy hard copies for myself. And then recently I got it on Kindle. So I put it on Kindle. I think that's where you read it. You're the first person to buy it on Kindle.
Yeah, leading edge. I love it.
Yeah, I know, it's brilliant. So yeah, and that's what I did. So just kind of went. I tried not to put too much pressure on it. Because like I said, I'm a brand new author. You can actually read it for free on the website. If you can go on the website, you can read it for free. Because over time, at first, I thought, I wanted to sell a million copies, and I thought, but I'd rather people enjoy the reading of it, and that's why you can read it for free on the website. You can buy it for a Kindle if you want, or you can buy the hard copy. So the choice is yours, really. But if you want to read it for free, as long as you enjoyed what I wrote, and if it makes any difference in you and your life, and it's a score for me.
Actually, now would be a good time to give the website, how they can get hold of it. The title of the book would be nice.
I know, yeah. I forgot to mention the name of it, yeah. It's called The Happiness Trail, as in, Happiness Trail. The website is www.thehappinesstrail.com. If you go to Kindle or Amazon, it's for sale. The Kindle's for sale on there. If you want to buy the hard copy, you can buy it cheapest. It's from my website. It goes directly to my publishers at thehappinesstrail.com. It might forward you to another website, but that's where you go. And they hear a bit more about me on there as well. Read some articles that I've done, and yeah. So thehappinesstrail.com, and then the Kindle's available from Amazon. So yeah, it's on there now. I've just put the price at the lowest possible price, just because I wanted people to read it. Do you know what I mean? And then if someone picks it up and wants to take it further, then that'd be great. If not, I've had some really nice comments from people that have read it that didn't even know me, which is nice. Because people that knew me obviously giggled at the stories because they knew a lot of the stories in there. Because like we said, there's a lot of funny. Well, when I say funny, hopefully they are. Well, I giggled writing them. There's a lot of funny stories in there about my life as well, and they said that they kind of really laughed out loud, which is quite funny because considering they didn't know. You know what I mean? Where know me and know kind of stories of my life as such. But you can log in and get the stuff from there. HappinessTrail.com.
Cool. Now, talking about the actual nuts and bolts of formatting the file and stuff, because it came out really well on the Kindle. How did that? Did you get someone else to do that? Is that automated? Did you do it yourself? How did that work?
Well, yeah, if people are self-publishing, it's massively, you get massive helps. I mean, I use the website completelynovel.com, www.completelynovel.com, and they kind of give you all the guidelines in there how to format it. When you write it in Word, it will say, put the borders at this, and put this at that, and put that there, and do this, and so it's all done for you. But what you just do, just write. Forget about that. That can be done. Just write. If I recommend anyone that wants to write a book, just do it. But just write. Just sit down there. Don't give yourself no pressure. Don't think I write a chapter a night. If you want to write 5 lines, write 5 lines. But then do all that, and then they kind of the websites guide you towards it anyway, but it's brilliant. I mean, I did the cover myself, which obviously you can't see as much on Kindle, but the picture was actually taken in Ibiza, which is like a second home Ibiza is, and then I edited myself and did the cover myself, and getting a bit of help from Tom and from that side, he helped me there as well, and then just put on there. But what's great about it, I mean, when you hear people like moan about life at the moment in the world, we live in a bloody great time. We can do all these phenomenal things, and I got to read a book myself. I'm sitting in my room, writing on my laptop. I mean, obviously a few people helped me, obviously with the proofreading and whatnot. And then for weeks, I had a book, my book, on Amazon and in my, on my shelf. You know what I mean? It's brilliant, and we live in fantastic, fantastic times, and that's where I'm really excited about 2012. Not just from me, but from the whole world aspect and where we're all going, because we live in a blooming great times, and I'm excited about making this world even sweeter. And that's where I said personally, I'm looking forward to this year. And if anyone wants to write a book, just do it, but just do it for the fun of it. Don't do it to try and change the world. Just do it because you enjoy writing, or you've got a message to say. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Did you just use Word to literally just type it out? Was that your kind of
just Word, just Microsoft Word. That's it. Just type. Just flew out, and then but try not to get, like I said, it depends. People work differently. I mean, we all know some people are theorists, some people are activists, but I just wanted to get on with it. Some people may want to think, oh, I'll break the chapters down. Whatever feels good to you, do, because I know we're all different. I know some people like to plan. If that's what you want to do, that is brilliant. I'm just saying, for me, especially if you're an activist, then just go for it. Just write it. You can always edit it. That's what's great about Word. And then just go for it. And just write. People say, well, how do I start? Just start how I started. Like my first sentence is, hi, I'm sat at my table. That's my first sentence, I think. Because that's what I didn't know what to write. But I thought I'd keep it in, because that's what, that's what I started it. And I just think it's brilliant. If anyone wants to do it, just do it. Even if you want to write about trees, whatever they've got a passion about. As long as you've got a passion about it, someone would want to read it.
Cool, I love that. And no, I like how kind of approachable that is. It's just anyone can do it, just do it type thing. It doesn't have to cost a lot. It doesn't have to take a lot of your time. Just bit by bit, do it, and then ta-da, you have a book. Yeah,
exactly. That's all it is, and don't put the pressure on you, because people again, it's that thing about manifestation. Well, where is it? Just enjoy the journey. Go A to B to C to D, and at some point, when I'd get a bit kind of, when am I going to finish it? Well, that they soon when, because that's human. You still have your kind of your emotions that pop in now and again. But I just soothed them, and I thought, okay, I don't need to write. I don't need to finish it. There's no rush. I enjoyed writing it, and then I just bring it back to kind of the joy of writing, and it was fun going back over my life and remembering stories, remembering people, and oh my God, you remember when that happened, and oh yeah, and this, and then when I wrote about my nan and granddad and my granddad dying, that was a bit sad, so I got a bit upset, but it wasn't like I upset. It was just a nice, warm feeling, and then I carried on, and it was nice to kind of touch back on life, to relive parts of it. And then move on with it. But none of it was banging the drum of, oh, it was awful, because it wasn't nice, and bullying wasn't nice. But you don't need me to explain bullying to know what bullying's like. You know what I mean? And that was part of my life. But it made me stronger. Cheesy as it sounds, everyone always says it. But I've had a brilliant life now, and without that contrast, without that kind of that start, I would not be where I am now, or be the person I am today. I think I'm a very tolerant person because I had to be. Because I learned tolerance because some people didn't show me. So then people have been my biggest angels. People that were kind of not as nice to me as other people have been. And then it's totally how you take it, isn't it? That's my alarm for the show. That's now I'm behind.
So
too professional.
Actually, another question came to mind about all that, but it's gone. Oh yeah, how did you recreate your memories? Because I was like, if I were to write an autobiography, I would not remember my first memory. So how did you tap into all of that?
Well, again, I think by the sounds of it, we're kind of. I just go with the flow, so I just kind of sat down, and then just what come to me. Like I said, I did not plan to write about my nana and granddad. If someone said to me, right, I'm going to write a book, and I never thought my first chapter would be about my nana and granddad, but it just turned out that way. And I think what we're writing a book and what people can then worry about is, what should I write, and how do I do it, and there's no set way to do it. Some people might want to write chapters, briefs down. Some people may want to. You just do whatever feels good to you. Now, people listening to this, who possibly want to write a book, they're like, oh, actually, I prefer to write chapters. Well, great, do it. Or some people might think, I'm just going to write whatever. Just write whatever. There's no set in stone guide to do anything. And it's a principle of life as well. We have people give us ideas and hints and tips, but what you think about it, that's one thing I've really learned in the past year, is what do you think? Because we always think, oh, what do they think? We look for opinions of other people, which is great when they agree with us, but when they don't, you kind of like, it kind of stings you. But what do you want to do? How do you want to write a book? If you don't agree with anything I'm saying, great. As long as you're writing a book, that's great. You don't need to do what I do, but just by the kind of essence of your questions, you're asking like, how did I do it? I just sat down on that day. Like I said, I'd reread the previous chapter, and I'd just make quick amendments, and that got me in the flow. It's like in some ways, it's like, oh, unpausing the tape, and I'd just continue. And I'd think, oh, I could write about that, or I'd just be like, going on with my day, and then I'd think, oh, I'll probably write about that next time. I'll sit down to write, and then when I sit down to write, it'll pop back in my head and think, I'll write about that. And I would then. I'll just kind of go on a tangent with that and then move on with my story, really. But the autobiography, I know people probably kind of half roll their eyes. What, a 30-year-old man writing an autobiography? I'm not even famous. I've not even done like a so-called interest in life in the public eye. But I don't really see it as an autobiography. I just see it as a point of saying, hey, this is me. This is where I'm at. If I can do this, I'm a 30-year-old man. I'm not 90 wearing tie-dye and flip-flops. I'm not, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm joking. I've got people that wear tie-dye and wear flip-flops. I'm just tongue-in-cheek. We have to laugh at ourselves. People can laugh at me. I have to laugh at myself. You can see the book. I mean, Wigfield. I mean, you've been some of the things you mentioned, which I'm glad you haven't mentioned. There's some other things in the book that I laugh at myself about. But we've got to laugh at ourselves. People in the spiritual community, we're too blooming serious. We take ourselves too seriously. We've got to remember we're here for the fun. We're here to enjoy our time on earth, and you have to laugh at yourself. And I want people to know that you can still be spiritual and still go out on a Friday night. You can still be spiritual and you can still watch X Factor. You don't have to be like, I'll switch off your TVs, or you can't be. Of course, you can be spiritual and watch TV. Just be aware of what's on the TV, and just look towards the good things in life.
Cool, love it. Okay, well, I've got the book in front of me, so I'm just gonna scan it and pick out my favorite bits or anything that I think's great. So let's begin with Wigfield.
Oh, right. I was about to say to you, what's your favourite bit of the book? But I think it's going to be the Wigfield thing, isn't it? I was just reading that, and I just laughed out loud. I just thought, okay, I didn't see that coming. The thing is, right, the Wigfield story was when I was younger, and I used to love. I call it crap pop. Like the stuff that would just clog the charts up, and you think, who's buying that stuff? Well, me. I used to buy it. Anything cheap and crap, I'd buy. I mean, I used to buy singles from the Big Breakfast, the they did a song. I can't remember what it was, chick 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 chicken or something. And I bought that because it was £1. Anyway, back then I used to love. I used to love a woman called Wigfield. She did a song called Saturday Night. That's what she's famous for, right? Saturday night, and I like the way you move. Remember the dance routine? Anyway.
I did see it in a club a few weeks ago, I have to say, so that was quite funny.
A club? It must have been a gay club.
Yeah. And people were doing it, and I just thought it was hysterical, because I didn't know there was a set routine to it. I just thought they would just make it up, but
yeah, there's a set routine to it, and I used to do it when I was younger, and every time there was a family party, they dragged me up. When I say dragged, I skipped up there and did it. And then I liked the second single, and then I kind of become a bit of a weirdo fan. And then normally when these Euro pop artists, no one really likes them, they're not cool, but I used to love her. I used to love her music. It was just cheesy pop, and I loved it. I won't say it was camp, but it was just cheese, and I loved it. And but obviously, as time went on, because of the novelty of the song wore off, everyone the single started to flop.
Jay's just posted a YouTube link to Wigfield.
Yeah. Well, where she posted the link? Is the chat room open?
She's posted it on a link. If you go to her Facebook page, you'll see that.
Okay. And so then there's a single called "Think of You," and I loved it. And I'll tell you, I didn't put this bit in the book, but I was actually out on holiday the week that the single come out. Now, if you remember back in the days, Nick, when you bought a single, it was $1.99 the week that it was released. And once it starts, it was $3.99. So I thought, right, I'm not paying blooming $3.99 for it. So I got my cousin to give him the £2 before I went on holiday to buy it for me while I was away. So he did. He bought it for me. Anyway, so I was listening to my local radio station, and they never played it. You know, like, never ever played it. So I waited till, like, you know, they did, like, request shows, so I phoned up, said, can you play Wakefield, Think of You? Oh, that's the name of the song, Think of You. I was like, guy's like, yeah, man, yeah, I'll play it later, definitely. Hung up, listened to the show, didn't play it. So the next time I phoned up, and he went, oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't have time to play it, I'll play it this time. And he didn't play it for a second time. So the third show, listened to it, I thought, right. So I phoned up, as I went, can you play? He went, he shouted, he went, it's on next, and hung up on me, and he played it next. And it was the first and last time I heard the song on British radio. So
I might your part of that. I really did.
I did my bit for Wakefield. So, and then also there's more stories about Wakefield in the book. I take it even further with my kind of fandom, if that's the word. But yeah, it was a funny way he shouted at me. So,
no,
but yeah,
I love the things that you went to have that, because I know what it's like to really like a song and to want it heard and stuff. Okay, so we'll move on quickly from Wakefield to the second chunk, like the next thing, which is like the ghosts and the UFO. What was the ghost hunt thing? Because I did Wikipedia after I read it, but I never knew about it. What happened with that?
No, Ghost Watch was a thing they did back, was it 93, 94? How old was I? No, it must have been 92, I think. They filmed a ghost, like, they showed it on Halloween on BBC TV. And it was like supposed to be a live show, like a live ghost hunt. So they had someone in the studio, then someone looking at this haunted house. Suppose we had this kind of poltergeist called Pipes. But anyway, I was only about 10 or 11, and I watched it, but absolutely pooed my pants. And cause I used to love ghosts, anything ghosts, UFOs. I used to get the magazines and buy the books, and from school I'd always hire them out. And anyway, it come across this this ghost show was supposed to. Oh, anyway, it all blew up on this ghost show, but they played it as real, but no one knew that it was actually recorded a month before, I think. But was it BT or the BBC had 20,000 calls complaining and didn't know what was going on, and thought the studio had been overtaken by ghosts. But obviously, then I believed it, and I went to bed, absolutely poo my pants. And for an 11-year-old guy, I had to get my dad sleep in the room with me because I couldn't get sleep. You know what I mean? But the funny thing was, at school next day, right? Yeah, I knew it was fake, but I didn't. And obviously, I found out it was fake, but by then I'd already kind of like I said, pooed oneself about 4 times in the night. So, but yes, that's Ghost Watch. It's called Ghost Watch, and it had Sarah Green and Michael Parkinson. But now it's a cult classic. You can buy it on DVD, but obviously when you watch it back, you can see it's fake ads. But obviously, when I'm a 10-year-old boy, I just believed it. So you don't believe what you see on telly. That's a lesson.
Now, what obviously going down the line, had this kind of interest in the paranormal, or whatever you want to call it, had that always been with you, or how did that go?
I've always had interest in there's something more. I've always thought there was something more. What that something more was, I don't know. UFOs, ghosts. I always thought there was something more than what we could physically see here. What we could touch, taste, smell, sense. I always thought there was more, and always interested me. Because obviously, when you're younger, how do you really pursue that? I just always had a keen interest with. There's a ghost program, a UFO program on telly. I'd always watch it. Any books or magazines I'd buy. I just found it interesting. And as I got older, I kind of got more into again, still love it, ghost hunts and everything now. I still love like Halloween and whatnot. Then I got into interest in the spirituality. That is this. Where do we go? Do you know what I mean? And then I've always had a belief that there's always something more. And scientists have started to prove it. That they say they can't prove God. Well, hang on. Scientists have said that energy can't be destroyed, so we must go somewhere. So it just always was like a keen interest of mine. And when you're younger, you're at school, you're at college, you can't really pursue it as much. And by then, don't forget, I didn't have the internet back then, really. It wasn't the same as what it is now. I didn't have the internet properly. So I couldn't really do much research on it. Then as I got older, I realised that I just kind of... Well, I'm still learning. We're always going to be learning about what the universe is and what it holds and how it all works. But I think that was probably the first... That's why I put it in the book. I think it's the first sign of me wanting to know there was something. There's something more than what we can see here, and I think a lot of people that started off that way. You know,
yeah, no, and that actually made me think when I was a little kid. For some reason, I was fascinated with crystals. It was the strangest thing because I couldn't explain it looking back now as being a little kid, my fascination with it, but it's just the strangest thing, isn't it? How these things almost seem inherent in you, and as a kid you just kind of pursue it without any second thought, but obviously kind of being a more logical adult you would question it. But yeah, it's just it just made me think back to how these things just seem kind of almost inbuilt to some degree.
Yeah, that's why we've got to look at kids. Kids are our biggest teachers. You know what I mean? They grow up and they're the pure source beings, you know, the pure love, and then we train in ways that aren't the best for their kind of real, you know, future in some sense. We instill fear, and why are you doing that? That makes no sense. Why? And like you said, as we get older, we kind of question, well, why am I liking crystals? But back then we didn't care. We didn't give a shit. A lot of my friends, we just did it because we loved doing it. And that's why I love kids, for that reason, that they just do things that they want to do and they follow their bliss more. And you'll find that kids now are a lot more, you know, resilient to their inner being. They'll do what they want to do. That's why people say, oh, the kids are getting naughtier. They're not. They just don't want to do the things that we're programming them to do. Now, when I say programming, I'm not saying parents are purposely telling kids, you know, awful things, but I mean, we make them fearful of the world because that's what the media tells us to do. We should be scared of this and scared of that and scared of this and scared of that. But they're going, actually, I don't want to be scared. I actually want to do what I want to do. And that's what I think the friction has caused. That's what I think caused the friction in the youth nowadays. And that's going back to your first question about where I want to go into 2012. That's where I'd like to aim towards. Youth for me is I got a keen interest in between 13 and 19, when you're really at that point where you really turn into an adult. I just love to kind of, you know, like you've said about the psychic training ground, assist people in assisting themselves. I love to have known what I know now when I was 18. Imagine the world where the youth know that, you know, the power of positivity, the power of, you know, sending out love and actually dropping this being fearful of everything. Do you know what I mean? Because with being fearful of things, we create things to be fearful about. But the power of positivity, the power of love, the power of, you know, the trueness that we really are, once you kind of really align with that, like a lot of teachers say, one person in their bliss, in their joy, in their vortex, is more powerful than a million that aren't. Now, I'm not kind of pointing at a million people aren't and going, you're doing it wrong, I'm doing it right, because God, I'm still learning, I'm still a human being. But the same breath, I'd love to kind of, you know, realize that everything comes from love, and to send love to the kind of the youth and say, you know, you can, by giving more love out, by following what you love doing, not what you think you should do or your parents think you should do, or what's more logical, what's, you know, what will get you the best career, what is human secondly possible, what is it you want to do now, what is it you want to do, what gives you bliss, because everyone's got a gift out there, everyone has got a gift to humanity, and that doesn't mean they've got to serve us and, you know, and do things they hate doing. Their gift is to follow their bliss and what they love doing. If that's going to work at Tesco, if that's going to, you know, be a mechanic, we need people to fix cars. We need people to be ambulance drivers. We need this kind of. I love that about The Secret. They said not everyone wants to drive a Ferrari. I don't want to jump out of, you know, planes and skydive, but some people love that. We all love different things, and I really believe we all just follow our bliss, follow what gives us, you know, our true meaning in life. Then we have a full, balanced, and a loving society, because everyone will do the thing they love to do. And I think that's where, I think with the book, that's hopefully where the end bit comes across as well.
No, absolutely. Cool. Now, we're at secondary school and college. Do you want to highlight any major points or situations or things that you want to talk about that you went through at college or secondary school?
I think college I loved, because at school, again, I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself here of banging the drum, but school I think is quite regimented. I think it's very left-brained, you know, copy, paste, repeat. And if you copy, paste, repeat well, you get scores. I think, and I know we need, school's great because you need to learn, obviously, your basics, your maths and English, because you need to learn and write and speak and learn how to do maths, obviously. And I'm not taking that side of it, but I think it's very copy, paste, repeat. If you do it right, then you pass the test. But the creative side, we need people that are creative as well. And some of the biggest people that are millionaires and, you know, the most successful businessmen, businesswomen, weren't great at school because their kind of creativity was kind of half stamped on because they weren't academic as such. And so at school, I felt a bit smothered because I didn't really enjoy most of the classes. Really, luckily I was quite clever generally, but I didn't like it. But that's when going college, I did stuff that I loved doing. I did media studies and I absolutely loved it. Loved it. I loved filming stuff. I loved doing the radio stuff. I loved everything, and that's where I think college was great because that's where you really kind of fall into place because you kind of. You know what I mean? At school, you're put into this classroom, and there's 20 of you, and there's all mixed ability, which is great. It's a great contrast and great learning experience. But college, you seem to kind of, a good old saying, like goes to like. You're doing something you love. So if you're going to love sports, you're going to meet people that love sports. If you're studying maths, you're going to love people that want to be engineers. And do you know what I mean? And that's what I loved about college, that it opened me up because I went to do things I love doing, and surrounded by people that were very similar because they loved the same type of things. So college for me was a very exciting point of view, and that's where I did a lot of my kind of acceptance with who I was, and felt kind of more starting to come more at peace with who I was, and realising I was actually gay. Gay as a day is long, and but look because because I met more open-minded people there because I was probably more open-minded doing things that I loved. I felt more comfortable in saying it. And again, that's probably touched upon in the book when I do actually come out to one of my friends there who, with media studies, we talked about homosexuality in the media. I just hate that word, homosexuality. Such a big word. Basically, how gay people are represented in the media. And one of my good friends at the time said, it doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter who they are to me. I mean, and that for me was like the crack in the opening of me wanting to kind of come out as such, because I'm quite an honest person. I do wear my heart on my sleeves, and I like people to know who I am. Some people, do you know what I mean? I like people to see the real me. So when I realised that I think I was gay, then I wanted to let it out there. But obviously, yourself, it's the scariest feeling, and because of what you fear, people are going to leave you. People, you're going to lose your family, your friends. You're going to be kicked out of your home. There's so many fears that go through your head, and of course, your ego has a field day. It's disgusting. You shouldn't be doing loads of little things. So when he said them types, when he said that he was fine with gay people, I thought, right, that not to kind of manipulate it to kind of, I'm going to tell him, but like a little light bulb went off and thought, I'm sure I'm going to tell him. And then I think I did in a week or so. And that was start the ball rolling. But it was that thing of, once I did say it to the first person, you can't describe the feeling. It was such elation. It was like a little bird flying from its nest for the first time. I kind of think I just blubbed and blubbed and blubbed. I'm surprised you heard what I said, to be fair. But yeah, so that I think from school and college, the school, like I said, the book, I did get a bit of abuse from it and whatnot, but that happened, and I had some laughs at school, but it wasn't my best time of my life. But again, I grew from it, and again, it's added to who I am today. So I'm not going to kind of demonise that past, but it's not something I really kind of look back fondly. But but it made me appreciate college more, and it made me, again, the person that I am today. Cheesy as that sounds, Nick, but yeah.
Cool. And how did your, it sounds like you generally had a quite positive experience from there on in with your family and all of that. How did all that go for you?
Yeah, I told them bit by bit. I told my mum, I kind of chickened out a little bit, telling my mum and dad. Because every time I'd been out, when I had a few drinks, I thought I'd tell them. But I thought I don't want to tell them when I'm drunk. But then when I was sober, I was like, I can't tell them. So I did a thing where I wrote a note when I was drunk saying, I need to speak to you tomorrow, because then I couldn't get out of it, and that's how I did. My family were really good about it. Obviously they dealt with it in their ways. Mum was took a while to kind of get used to the fact. It must have been obvious. I was playing bloody Wakefield, for God's sake. Come on, mother. But it took a while for my mum. My dad was great. My brother was great as well. But yeah, I have quite a positive life. But I think the way I think about it, I've always, going back to the law of attraction thing, I've always deep down known it. I called it law of attraction, not that I've thought, you kind of put your thoughts create your world, but I've always looked at the positive. I remember my family used to laugh at me and go, Ben always looks at the positive. I can remember once we had a wedding and it didn't rain, and it was dead windy, cloudy, cold, but it rained. We had the pictures done and it just started to pour down after the pictures had been done. Everyone was like, I feel like, what an awful day. I said, just be grateful it rained after the photographs. And they're like, Ben, always the positive. And I always have been. And don't get me wrong, you know yourself, Nick, if you're in a foul mood, the worst thing someone can say to you is think positive. I'm not one of them people. But generally, when day-to-day life, we've got it bloody good here, and I've got it bloody good, and I try and appreciate it as much as I can. But with the emotional scale, that's one of the biggest things I've learned, actually, through all the kind of so-called teachings, is the emotional scale has helped me massively. And to people that don't know that, is the emotional scale is you have, Abraham Hicks mentioned it, you have a scale of emotions. At the bottom you have all the ones that don't feel very great. Right at the bottom you have, suppression, depression. Then you have, anger, and then frustration. Then as you go up the scale, you get to hope, and then joy, then exhilaration, and passion, and love. And when you are feeling a bit, shit at the bottom, if someone says to you, oh yeah, just think positive, you can't just want to punch him, because you do, because you're mad. And that's what I like about it, because it accepts where you are, and that's why when you are suppressed, anger feels so good. Oh, I had some anger manifestations this summer, but I bloody loved it because I knew it's because I'd felt powerless. So the next step up the scale was anger. So I did feel angry, but it felt bloody good to feel angry. And then it's like, because normally you would go, what you feel good being angry, but you know yourself when you're angry, it feels good because you've taken a step towards feeling better. Yeah, don't stay in anger forever. Then move upwards and onwards, and that's what I've kind of learned with it. So that's the kind of the motto I have. If I do feel bad, then okay, I feel bad, but I aim to feel better. And normally I either rant it out on my computer. I've got a little document on my desktop called Rambles. It's just a Word document, and what I do, I just go and ramble in there. Just someone's annoyed me, I just write there. Okay, I feel a bit groggy today, but I write it with my true emotions. Say if someone's really annoyed me, yeah, I know it's not them, I know it's a mirror and all that, I know that, but I feel anger, I can't help it. So I write, they're cheeky, flipping flips, flip. Obviously, move flip to some other word. And, yeah, you can get the gist. But I have to let it out how I'm feeling it, because then it's gone. Emotion is energy in motion. You've got to feel it. But then you kind of move onwards from it. And then I just try and think of the positives and think where I'm going and what I want to do and all the great things that have happened in my life. And it still continues. DJing last year is an example, but I've lived a blooming good life. I've got some great friends, great family, and I'm excited about the future.
Sounding good. Okay, so now we come across Penny, which sounds fascinating, because I was reading Alan Carr's book not too long ago, and same thing kind of happened to him. So tell us about your experience with Penny and how all that went.
Well, Penny, this is probably the point of the book where it links the kind of UFO ghost to, the spiritual side, whatever spiritual means. Was when I worked at a place called Wilkinson's, which is like a store, kind of a shop in the UK, and all the girls were talking about this psychic called Penny. And I'd always been interested in psychics and how they work, and is it, ghosts and whatever. And again, cut long story short, I went to go and see her. But she got me down to a T. Again, I'm not trying to convert. I know I'm trying to kind of contradict myself here, but I'm not trying to convert anyone. But the same breath, I don't know how people can say, oh, they're always general, tall, dark stranger. She got everything spot on. She picked up on the bullying, which again you could have guessed. She got right I had one brother. She got right all these multitude of things. And about my life and what I've been through, I just bawled all the way through it because I just knew there was something else there with it. I mean, one big bit she said, like, your mum had a miscarriage between you and your brother. I've got a brother that's 2 years older than me. And it was a girl, and she's one of your kind of guardians who looks over you and guides you and blah, blah, blah. And she kept saying, she's saying this and she's saying that, and everything was spot on. She gave me like specific names. So I can see working at like a holiday camp. 2 years later, I worked at holiday camp. I completely forgot she said it. Just loads of things she got spot on. But to me, it wasn't that she told me my future. She just got up my life spot on. So it was like confirmation that there was something else there. I wasn't going mad. It wasn't this kind of I mean, it was proved to me because people, she could have said, "Oh, you've gone through tough times." Yeah, that would have been general, but it wasn't. It was specific. In the book, I mentioned a few things that she couldn't have guessed. She could have said, "Oh, my dad worked at, the local in Crewe. There's a big Rolls-Royce Bentley kind of factory where the majority of people work." Now, excuse me, she could have guessed my dad worked there. My dad didn't. My dad drove an hour to work at a rival town called Stoke, and he worked in a tyre factory. Testing tyres, and she said, I can see him, she's taking tyres off him. Does he work with tyres? I went, yeah, he does work with tyres. He tests tyres. That was his job. And she said, well, he's going to be. I think he's been made redundant. Or he's going to be made redundant, and he had been made redundant, but it wasn't public yet. He'd just been told. And then to just tell him he's going to find a little job that would tide him over till he retires, and he did. Got a little job, and it's tiding him over now until he retires. And it was just. But again, the reason why I put that in the book was it proved to me that there is something more than what we see here. For me, it was just proof. And people can say, oh, psychics. Yeah, there are probably some dodgy psychics out there. Like there is probably dodgy doctors or dodgy policemen or dodgy politicians. Doesn't mean it's not true. And I think for me that was just proof. And it just was a nice confirmation that there was something more. There's something afterwards, after this life. And that was the start of this my spiritual quote unquote path where I discovered just law of attraction and the conscious creation and all things like that, and that was like the beginning. So it was great confirmation and very kind of grounding for me. It was very upsetting listening to some of the things you said, but it helped me massively.
Wow, I love that. Okay, so now you're moving on to your party time where it's £1 a drink on Mondays and Wednesdays. Fridays and Sundays.
Every day it was £1 a pint. Cheap Northerners,
How was the time of your life for you? What was it like? What did you get up to and stuff? I
think I was a normal 18-year-old. Except, we just looking back now, like when I turned 30 this year, everyone was saying, "Oh, I bet you want to be 18 again." And do you know what? I wouldn't want to be 18 again. I really wouldn't. And not that I didn't like it, but when you're 18, you just get the world of adulthood, and you you kind of just want to party, and you want to you want to kind of pull girls, and it's not. I'm not. Taking the mick at that kind of life, because I've done it and loved it, but I realised that we've all kind of just how do you put it? I don't know. I was just a normal 18-year-old. But obviously, I was going through the thing of dealing with my sexuality and kind of coming out at that stage. But when I was a young lad, I was just having fun. I just wanted to kind of go out and meet people, and you always look towards the next party. And it was a brilliant life, and I had a brilliant time, and I still love to party now. Just not as often. I can't make it. But yeah, there's nothing, not massively in my teenage years. The late teens, I was just kind of finding my feet as an adult, really, and just kind of, because again, when you're 18, you thought, I'm dead old. Then when I was like 21, I was a kid when I was 18. Then when I was 25, I was like, I was a kid when I was 21. And now I think I'm dead old now. When I'm 40, I probably look back thinking, God, I was a kid, so. But yeah, I had a good time at that point. I really did. I had lots of fun.
And you guys did a lot of karaoke and performing and stuff, which little did you know that it would kind of serve you kind of down the line.
Yeah, of course. I loved singing. I still love singing now. To what level, that's debatable. But yeah, and it did. I obviously ended up getting a job at a holiday camp and singing and dancing my way for a few years, and worked abroad for a few years doing that there, and then, but again, it's going back to the story of our lives again. We're here for the journey and having the fun of it. And I've had a blooming great life, and I plan to have a blooming great life still. But I just recommend everyone to grab every opportunity they can and just take it. Just enjoy yourself as much as we can with wherever opportunities come your way. Doesn't mean everyone's got to work at a holiday camp, but just grasp anything that's coming your way and enjoy it as much as you can while we're here. And that's what I did. And again, with the singing and karaoke, I just love doing it because I love doing it. Well, to what standard, like I said, I don't know, but I thought I was good.
So how was your time at the holiday camps and performing and all of that?
Oh, it was a great way, because I'd just come out when I started at the holiday camp. I'd come out properly, everyone knew, and so it was great. It was like a new start for me. But of course, even though when I'd still come out, I still had, confidence issues about who I was, but that was part of the process of kind of coming out. I went there as a new person because at home I was, Ben, he's just gay. When I started at the holiday camps, I was, Ben, he's gay. It was like, that was me. It wasn't like I turned gay. I was gay when I got there. So it was a kind of really freeing experience, because this is me now. There's nothing I'm hiding. This is Ben. Ben, I like men. I'm a poet and I don't know it. So it was just freeing from that point of view that I started off my life with, if I could start a new chapter there. I'd started a new fresh and had a great year. I worked down south for 3 years. Not far from London, mate. Down south. I didn't think I had an accent until I went down there, and I realised I spoke funny. But
I'm trying to find the part that you were on a stage show, and that the stories just made me laugh.
Oh, when they're kind of CD skipped.
Yeah, and all of that. Tell us about those fun times.
Well, we did a show, and it was a kids show, and it was it was called a Spider-Man show, and we did it for 2 years, and the second year it was a Spider-Man and X-Men show, and I was an X-Men, and we had to kind of we had to mime. It was all kind of, it was a brilliant show. We had all this fake fighting, pow. We had to kind of pretend to kick, and it worked really well. We had professionals that come in and taught us, but because of all the people, we couldn't have microphones. We had to mime everything. Because it was such a big site, and the stage was right at the back, we could mime quite easily, really. So we just wore fake headsets, but it's the first time ever I had to mime everything. But anyway, so they give us a CD we had to mime to, but there's one part, there's a song called Superheroes Go Live. I can still remember it. Superheroes! And there was like a kind of routine to it. It was the end of the show, towards the end, and what happened, we all went off, we'd killed the baddies, yay, and then they were bringing us on 2 by 2, and we kind of did a routine, but we had to mime the song like we were singing it. And I remember it was Superheroes Go Live, and then it went, and there was me and this girl called Claire out, and I was going, and I was like, oh shit, what do? Do I pretend to mime the skipping, or do I just step that I'm miming? And it was cringing. But there was only 2 of us on stage. So eventually, after about 15 seconds at what felt like eternity, all the blue coats come on and then said, oh, hands together for the show. And luckily, the adults weren't there for the show. They were there for the kids because Spider-Man come out and they got to meet X-Men. So they didn't give monkeys that we were miming the show, but it was just awful. We had about 1,000 people. It was a massive site. About 1,000 people watching, yeah. It was
yeah, I read that obviously all this performing and stuff helped you develop to thicker skin. How was all that, working with all these different kids and adults and putting on stage and all of that? How did that help your confidence?
When I applied to work at a holiday camp, I applied for a northern site because I'm from the northwest of England and I wanted to be near here. But they actually positioned me the furthest camp away, which is southeast England, and they said, oh, and then when I got it, everyone kept saying like little sly comments like, oh, you can work there, you can work anywhere. And when I got there, I realised it was a very rough site to work at. Very, yeah. And again, because it was just very different. The clientele was very different. And again, I'm not being snobbish or judging anyone. I'm just saying that it was very different, and they were very, they didn't like it, they tell you. Do you know what I mean? So you kind of really had to get. Obviously, you're upset, but then you kind of grew for it and thought, okay, well, I can't keep them happy. I learned my craft there. I learned how to speak on a mic. I learned how to sing better, hopefully. I learned how to, deal with customers from all ages, from kids to grannies. And that obviously stemmed well in my life, because obviously in life you meet everyone, and I can hopefully get on with everyone because I can relate to everyone. I can play with a kid who's 5 and giggle and skip like my little nephew who's 3, who's skipping down the road the other day because he wanted to skip, so I'd skip with him. You know what I mean? And so you can kind of get into the mentality of all of them, and that's what I learnt there, because I was there for 3 years. I met all ages and learnt to kind of, communicate and feel them all at their level, if you know what I mean. So, but yeah, it was a brilliant time. I had such a good laugh down there. And like I said, some of the stories, the more filthy stories, come from Pontins. Do you know what I mean? Nothing was held back there, shall we say.
Cool. And then you applied for a holiday rep abroad, is that correct?
Yeah, I was there 3 years, and then I wanted to just take it to the next level. So I applied to be an entertainer abroad for air tours, and got the job. So I was there for a year doing a normal entertainment, just games around the pool, singing and dancing. Then I become an entertainment manager in the second year and the third year. So I looked after entertainment in hotels and organised shows and trained people up. Basically, kind of the natural progression as such. And yes, I did that, and again, I absolutely loved it. But God, the type of thing that people always say, "Oh, Ben, you fall on your feet." I always did. I always got a good team. I always got a good hotel. And I think looking back now, it's because I always knew that just by thinking more positive, just trying to look at the positives as wherever you're at, not think positive if you're feeling mad, but just thinking, well, do you know what I mean? I'll make the best wherever I'm at. Making the best wherever you are. I've got all these great opportunities on these great places with these great people with great customers. So it was. I've been really blessed in whatever way you use the word blessed. But you know what I mean? I've been really lucky in that sense with it. So I had a brilliant time there as well. I mean, obviously there's ups and downs. I mean, of course there's days when you'd be upset at certain things people would say to you, of course, but on a scale of things, do you know, I had a bloody good time out there. I got paid to have fun, and I was respected. I know I was how do you put it? I was good at my job, and people knew I was good at my job. I was respected definitely for it, and I'd love to do that. And that's what I'd like to, again, going back to my 2012 thing. I want to infuse, the singing, the dancing, upliftment, teenagers, confidence building. That's the kind of aim that I want to get this year. In what form, I don't know. I want to have fun. I want to dance. I want to sing. I want to, help teenagers and get confidence in themselves through that form. In what way, I don't know just yet. So I'm sure he's been lined up for me as we speak.
No, absolutely. And then you met Neil and Toya. Is that what you knew her by? Which is funny because I met them years later, and obviously small world being small world.
Oh my god! Of course, I completely forgot. Toya and Katie. Yeah, we know her as Toya. It's Katie. Yeah, that's where I met her at Pontins, and don't speak to Neil as much. I saw him at a wedding a few years back. I think it was Katie's wedding actually. But Toya I still speak to now, one of my best friends. She's so brilliant. We got on really well. I spoke to her the other day. We had sent each other Christmas cards and whatnot, and I wrote her a letter. She wrote me a letter, so I wrote her a letter. First letter I wrote for years, actually. So yeah, met some really good friends from it, and you know what I mean. And like I was saying, things happen in my life, and you're always learning and growing from things. But generally, I've had a good life, and some people may look at it and think, "Oh, well, this happened to you." Well, I don't care. I've had a really good life. And hopefully it'll continue. Well, I know it will continue, hopefully.
Yeah. Croakage. And then your time at Argos, which I thought was hysterical because you got the interesting customers. How was that?
Argos was brilliant. I mean, Argos, again, for the international listeners, is like a shop that's very famous in the UK, where you can shop from home. You're given a small number, you go in and you pick it up, but it's hilarious. I've had some good times from there, and I just had so many laughs again because it's a shop, but we had such good giggles with the people I was with, and I mean, I had a brilliant time at Argos. I can't, just because, like you said in the book, I don't want to spoil any of the stories really, but they're just really funny times in there, you know what I mean? Just really, just making them the best, and like, some days when something happens to you that's not nice, quote unquote, so it makes you angry or makes you sad, normally they're the funny stories that you can tell 6 months down the line when you've actually moved past it and aligned more as such. So some of the stories I had for there, Argos, at the time I was doing poo in my pants, or, it was very, absolutely fuming. But then now it's hilarious to look back. Do you know what I mean? Because people when you see people and they're stressed at Christmas and they're shouting at you and you're shouting at them, and but yeah, Argos is another great experience really. And actually the book's full of like little mini stories really. That's why it's not really an autobiography as such. I don't know what you'd call it, but it is just yeah, there's some good stories from there as well. I laugh when I think about it. The sad thing was I laughed writing it. Like I'd write a story and laugh as I was writing it, and then reread it and giggle because it reminded me of being there and how funny it was. But I thought it was. No. Again, I wrote it because I found it funny. I thought at one point I thought, well, they're going to find that funny. Well, I thought, well, I don't know what people find funny. Yeah, all I know is what I find funny. So I'm not saying that I am funny or the stories are funny, but I can only go by my assessment, and I thought it's funny, so it went in the book.
Cool. Which brings us now really into finding the secret and all of that. How in summary, how did that all pan out for you?
Well, yeah. Again, I'd always had the feeling of something more. Which obviously I'd had the psychic reading by then. I knew there was some afterlife and whatnot. And then someone mentioned it. Oh, have you ever watched The Secret? I heard it mentioned a few times when I was repping, and I was like, no, I thought it was a movie. It was like a James Bond film or something. I was like, nope, not heard of that, nope. And eventually someone said, oh no, it's like a self-help DVD. I was like, oh no, and then it got passed around, and I thought, oh, do you know what, I might watch that. But I don't think I had a DVD player abroad. And then when I went home, my friend Colette, she said, have you heard of this DVD, The Secret? And then another guy, Leapy Lee, who I met repping as well, he said, have you heard The Secret? I was like, bloody hell, right, I'm going to watch it. Mm-hmm. So I sat down and watched it, and then it obviously just blew my mind, because that's the first thing. The Secret is a brilliant DVD for, to first-timers to realise, that you do create your own reality. I think it asks more questions than it answers afterwards, but it's a great introduction to, where you're at, and knowing that, you have the power to change your life. It's empowering, but it turns your world upside down. If you've been grown up with the belief that everything's outside of you and outside your control, and actually is inside your control, it's not nice because you like to blame other people. It makes it easier on yourself, really. But then it's not a blame culture. That's what I like about The Secret. People, you're blaming people for cancer. I'm not blaming anyone for cancer. I'm just saying I'd rather know that I could personally heal myself through my thoughts than it be an act of God, quote unquote. Do you know what I mean? And that's why it's like with anything in life. It's how you look at the half empty, half full. And for me, I know that I'd rather know I create it so I can change it. And that's what I loved about The Secret. So when I watched it, I tingled. I think I nearly cried. I thought, I always knew this. It just resonated with me to my deepest level that I create my own reality and I can do whatever I want. I can be, do, have, whatever I want. And yeah, it may take time to manifest. It may take time to align with what I want. But there's a possibility I can do it. And that's what I loved about it. It was such a powerful and exciting message that I'm glad it's getting out there.
Cool. And from The Secret, how did you find? I think this is going off the book if I'm just scanning in now. But how did you find Abraham, and to bring you to present point? How did that pan out?
Abraham Hicks. I saw she's one of the people. Esther was in the Secret, the original Secret. I saw, and I really liked her. I thought, you like that woman? And every time I watched it, I always rewound it back. How old? It's not a video. I skipped back to them bits, and I loved when Esther spoke, and I just felt such love. I just really like what she's saying. And then cut on about 6 months, and my friend Jay, who's obviously a lot of people know the Psychic Network, Psychic Background. Yeah, you've got a talk coming up. I met Jay, and that was brilliant. And then she told me about this, Esther and Jerry Hicks, who channels Abraham. And at first I thought, oh God, channeling, what's a bit weird. But eventually I thought, well, I don't care where it comes from. Because if you think about it, the Bible was channeled. God didn't come into earth. God so-called channeled someone to write the Bible. So if people can believe that, then I can believe that, people can channel certain things. But for me, it wasn't where it come from. If it was Esther, if it was Abraham, if it was Esther making it up, I didn't care, because what she said, what they said, resonated with me and answered all the questions that The Secret opened. And that's what I loved about Abraham, that they opened all they answered everything that I'd got. And everything they said, I thought, yep, I agree with, and it made sense. It wasn't like I listened to them and thought, oh, okay, I'll take their point of view. It was like remembering what I already knew on a deeper level. And that's what I loved about them. And they always uplift me. And but the same breath, they said, trust your own guidance. So, everything people say to me, I always think, what do I think on that? Some things I don't agree with. That doesn't mean that they're wrong and I'm right, because that's the kind of duality again. Everyone can be right. They can be right and I can be right. And that's what I liked about Abraham. They just said, what do you think? What do you, how does it feel to you? And that's what I liked about it. Because it put it back on you. And that's what I try and take, majority of my life around. How do I feel about it? What do I want to do as such? It sounds selfish, but it's more self-full. Because you kind of keep yourself happy then, and you keep other people happy as well.
Absolutely. And how long ago did you find The Secret? How many years ago was that?
Secret 2007. But I watched it, then I and then I watched it again a couple of months later, and it's weird because it didn't sink in. I think I said in the book until about a year or so later, and it kind of hit me with the gay thing that, oh my God, everything is mirroring my thoughts. Do you know what I mean? It's like I read it, and it was like it stewed inside me, and then I just thought about it, and all of a sudden it kind of bing, it clicked with me. I thought, oh my God, everything is, I can change anything. I can't change people, but I can change how I think of them. And it's so empowering, and that's what I love to talk about. I mean, that we can change everything. If you want to change it, that's the question. A lot of people don't want to change. That's fine. But if you really want to change it, you can really do it, and that's what's great. And there's no other people, whoever teachers out there, Abraham, Bahar, I don't know how to say his name, whoever you think you listen to, just trust your guidance on it. How does it feel to you? You know what I mean? And trust that. I don't want people to say, believe what I say. Well, if it feels good, great. If it doesn't, great. Just how does it feel to you? Just trust your guidance on it, on everything. And that's what they taught me. So somebody, if they said something I didn't agree with, then I'd trust my guidance. I wouldn't go against that, because I know you just got to trust what you believe.
Cool. And so closing up with The Lost Ladybird and Three Wise Owls, how did that come about?
like I said earlier, it was more that I just wanted to kind of put across what I'd learned. Like, I'd read a lot of books, I'd done a lot of, seen some seminars, seen, just done a lot of spiritual questing, whether that is, I can't think of another word for it. And I wanted to put it in a simple form that this is my basics, how I live my life. Yeah, things slightly mould and change, and I kind of change, but my core beliefs are the exact same. So what The Secret, Abraham, Andy Dooley, all these different brilliant authors and teachers, everything they taught me, what resonated, okay, I'll take that, take that, take that, take that, take that, put it in a melting pot, and then come up with a story with a ladybird asking these wise owls, well, what about this? What about that? The questions that I had regarding the law of attraction, the questions I had regarding the past and how to change things, and then all the things that I've learned and resonated with me, I put as the owls speaking back to the ladybirds. So the ladybird was like me 4 years ago, and the owls are like, not me now, but what I've learned now, if that makes sense. And that's what I wanted to write something a bit different, rather than saying, you attract this, and this happens because of this. I wanted to put it in a story form. And again, make it funny it's not too serious. I mean, a lot of spiritual books are going to be a bit serious and a bit, this is the way, you shouldn't eat meat, you shouldn't do this. There's no should or shouldn't. Do you want to do it? Or you don't want to do it? Simple as, really. I mean, we can't judge other people for the way they live their life. And I think that we really live our own lives and keep ourselves happy, and just let everyone else live their lives, we'll find it'd be a lot better place. Definitely.
Yeah, no, I read that. Sorry?
So it's a beautiful place, the Earth as it is, but it'd make it even that sweeter. It'd be like the icing on the Earth cake.
No, because I was reading that, and I can like pick out things quite sharply if things are slightly off, but it was very tightly written, and it was absolutely amazing. Really, really, really impressed with that. Cool. Well, speaking of the wonderful Jay, I think she's on the line, so we'll bring her on. Hello, Jay.
Hello, how are you?
Woohoo!
Hello.
Hello, darlings. Well, Happy New Year to both. I've been listening intently for the last however long you've been on, and absolutely love it. And as you were talking about the paranormal thing, I suddenly realised there was a ghost from the past in the room with me, and
So this book
he
ever did.
just wants to say, Benjamin, thank you for the mention.
I was going to say, if this book did say 1 million copies, then it was a few Wigfield albums anyway. I think she's still going, even about 20 years later.
I think probably she is. I think she's probably quite old by now, though. She's probably about my age. But I have to say that when I first read Ben's book, it was absolutely, I laughed and laughed, and I cried, and it was just delightful. But the bit that made me tingle from head to foot was the ladybird and the owl story at the end, because it kind of says everything, but in a way that it's almost like a parable, how the Bible and everything. So that's the bit that, for me, I felt Benjamin had channeled himself,
Absolutely.
That's how it felt, and it's so beautiful, and what a fitting end to the book. It's really, really lovely. So whoever's listening, go and get a copy. It's great. It's a fabulous book.
Oh, thank you very much, Jay.
You're welcome.
I thought you were going to bring like a message from a loved one. It's like nini na na na.
I know, yeah. But who's going to sound like that? Actually, I thought he was going to bring out like a magic wand. That's what I thought.
No, I thought I'd leave the wand for now, but I thought you'd probably appreciate Wigfield. I found it on YouTube. I was going to say YouBook. I never know what I'm on these days. FaceTube, it was on there, and I thought, well, we've got to just play him a little burst of Wigfield, because I think Nick was probably tapping his foot there as well, if truth be known. Indeed. He's a clever Wigfield fan.
Everyone knows it, you know what I mean? So it's something everyone knows, but most people know that song, but I know probably all of the album tracks and everything as well, so.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's Wigfield, I said, I still
you can get therapy for that, Ben.
Yeah. That's why I'm still focus wheels on.
Oh, bless you.
Thank you very much, Jay.
You're welcome. I just wanted to pop on very quickly and just say that I've read the book and I think it's brilliant. So, yeah. And So keep on writing. When's your next book coming out anyway, Ben? It's time you wrote another one.
I've got some hot news. I actually thought of the idea, because I went very backwards. I thought of the name of the book before I actually wrote the book, Nick. I forgot to say that as well. And I really want to write, the next book's going to be called, well, at the moment, I've started to think of ideas for it. So I think it's going to be called It's All About Me. And it's going to be breaking your life down into segments and just how you can assist towards changing them for the better, obviously.
That's wonderful.
Oh, it's going to be called All About Me or I Love Me, but I think I like the idea. It's all about me.
All about you, yeah. And then we can play that other lovely song by those lovely boys. It's All About You. Who was that band?
McFly. I love Fly.
Yeah,
McFly. I'd marry any of them, I think. I'll McFly.
There you go then. That might be your inroad in there. It's inspired action.
I love McFly. I think they're ready. So yeah, hopefully, McFly, if you're listening, yes, I'd marry you.
There might be at least one of them that's on the happiness trail with you. So let's put it out there.
There's always one, isn't there?
I don't know if you're being rude at that, Jay, or not. I never know anymore.
Oh, bless you. Well,
no.
Love you very much, and well done, and just to wish you both the most wonderful 2012. I think it's going to be a great year. I don't know why. I think it's because everybody's talking about it, and I think that most people are geared up to, kind of putting all their best intentions out there. I just want to have you. I think that's the only intention everybody puts out there. I want to be the happiest I can be, and I think it would be a very successful year for everyone. Woohoo!
It is. It's true. It all, like we're saying, that whatever happens in 2012, it all comes back to, we can all start with us. The biggest teachers have always said it, be the change you wish to see. I think everyone's probably sick of hearing that, but it's the truest word that's ever been spoken, I think. And there's no point saying, I want peace, then shouting at your neighbour.
Yeah.
I want world peace, shouting at my neighbour and shouting at my mum. We've got to make peace of every part of our life before we can make peace will be around the world. We've got to make peace of our own lives, and that's what I'm saying with the happiness trail as such. I'm making peace with the people in my life, who I am, where I'm going. I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not saying anyone is, but I always try and start with me, thinking, well, how am I feeling today? Do you know what I mean? And there's so many experiments that have shown that when there's people meditating, or when people are in love, or when people have been shown love, that it changes people, it changes worlds. And like that with that experiment with the water, with that guy that I'm really sorry, I can't remember his name.
Yeah.
He sent love to water, and it actually changed the molecules in the water to a more positive state just by sending it love. Yeah. Again, it's such a big, and there's so many good things. I think we start with us, and we've got to start with love. And I think that's the most important thing for me this year. Like you said, happiness, but love as well. Yes. Unconditional love.
Absolutely, and like we were talking about this at some point earlier. It's more difficult to make yourself who you are than it is to worry about what other people think about you. And I think if everybody inside the world, if every person on the planet could pay attention, weed their own garden, i.e. looking at themselves, instead of pointing the finger at everyone else and what they're doing wrong, we have a very common world, I think. I think that's the way off yet.
I think as well, you went a bit Skype there, Jay, but I get what you're saying. That weeding your own garden is true. That not saying look at yourself and go, oh God, this is shit in my life. Not at all. But just saying that we can make the start and change this world for the better. Again, not that it's broken, but making it even that sweeter by looking at ourselves and giving ourselves love. Not just kind of true. Look at the things that aren't great, but kind of just send them love and say, do you know what? I'm only human, and where can I go from here? And just kind of loving thy neighbour. I mean, obviously, I'm not religious in the sense of religion, but there's a few. I mean, the Bible originally was probably written with a lot of this kind of teaching. It's hard, love thy neighbour. The kingdom of heaven's within you. It's all there. It's just been twisted over the years. But the deep thing is that we have to find the kingdom of heaven within us. Yeah. And by that I mean send love to everyone, appreciate everything as much as we can, and making the best of where we're at. That's all we can do, isn't it? Really.
It is all you can do. Yeah, and. That said, I think it's about what I was saying was making peace with yourself, and that kind of has a knock-on effect, doesn't it, to everyone else? And there's no reason why we can't just all try and really just accept that everybody else has got their way of doing things. It may not be our way, but it's their way, as our way is our way. And if we just make peace with even that one thought, you know, it's difficult because we are human, but I think a lot of us have come to the realization in 2012, I know I definitely have, that I've made a lot of leaps and bounds spiritually. I've cleared a lot of stuff, I've cleared a lot of clutter, I've actually expanded quite a lot, and I've shifted massively. But I came to the realization only sort of yesterday that had I actually done that from a human level, the human part of me, that bit of me that is living on this planet now, reconciling all of this stuff, I need to make peace with that bit as well. And to know that just being a human being in all its glory, warts and all, is absolutely fine. You know?
What we've got to realise is that kind of the biggest word I've probably got from this year as well is balance. You know, the balance of life is in the, I mean, we are human. At the end of the day, we may be spiritual beings in a human body, but we're in a human body.
Yes.
So you have to deal with human things, you know, mortgages and bills and all this, and we have to deal with that. And that's not kind of, it's just find that balance between everything. I mean,
yeah.
Again, that's why, again, I know it's going back to the book, but that's why I wrote the book as well, because I wanted to kind of put across in some way that, you know, that you can still have you can still have a balance in life. You can still, quote unquote, be spiritual and, you know, think there's something more and, you know, and believe in all this, but still do the human normal things, you know,
yeah.
as well. You don't have to be, like I said, I know sort of Mick out of it, I'm not being nasty, you know, like tie-dye, flip-flops, you know, meditating for 14 hours a day. There's nothing wrong with that, and I know I'm only taking the mick. So,
no,
but you don't have to do that. Yes, you're the worst. Actually, you've got some tie-dye, I think, Jay. I think I've seen some.
I'm just going to take my flip-flops off as we speak.
I actually got flip-flops, I don't know why I'm even saying that. But yeah, I think that's what you're saying, that I feel that, to me, that I get bliss from people realising that you don't have to be spiritual and then don't drink, don't eat meat, don't do this, don't do that. Spiritual means, you know, you're just open to the brilliant life that you can lead. And what I like being the bridge between the two of, you know, tell people, you know, you don't have to stop drinking, you don't have to stop doing this, you don't have to stop doing anything.
No.
To harness the power of your thoughts and to harness the power of conscious creation and having the life you deserve to have. We all deserve to have the best life. We don't deserve to suffer. We're not here to suffer. Do you know what I mean? We're here to thrive, and that's what I'd like people to know, that you're here to thrive. And in whatever way that means, if it is playing football every night with your mates, as long as you're loving your life, you're living your life. That's all you've got to do.
Definitely.
And everyone wants to write a million selling book or sell 15 million CDs. Everyone wants to do something they love doing. If that's, I mean, collecting jigsaws or train spotting, I don't care. I went at a train the other day, and this teenage lad, was running up and down this train with pure excitement about these trains going past.
Oh.
And the first thing I was like, oh, a train. And I could feel myself, like we judge people straight away, and I thought, you know what? He's bloody happy doing that. He's in his bliss, so what am I to kind of even look at him? And kind of, that's what I've spotted myself doing more. When we send out the judgments, not even realising it. And I thought, you know what? Brilliant. He's loving it. Isn't that great? He's following his bliss.
So you were a spotter of train spotters then. So, you know.
Oh, it was just great to see.
We're all connected.
It is true. It's true. I know. It's really nice to see.
I had a little thing like that once, and I was walking along the beach in Cleethorpes, and not many people do that. I have to mention Cleethorpes. I'm from there. I was walking along the beach, and all of a sudden, I was like, I stopped, and my heart almost stopped. There was this most beautiful sight, and a young boy in a wheelchair, and he was obviously very, very much, how can we say, he was quite badly disabled, and I don't like that word, but bless him. You know, from our perspective, he was very special. But he's in a wheelchair. He couldn't do a great deal. But the one thing he could do was he had a kite attached to the handle of his wheelchair, and he had his hand on that string. And as he was looking up into the sky, he was just pure joy on his face. And he was that kite, and he was flying. And it's like every one of us can do that. It doesn't matter whether you've got, you know, whether you're in a wheelchair or you're not. And I'm speaking metaphorically, whatever state your life happens to be in, you can always find your own kite. There's always something you can look at that will take you a bit higher, you know. Totally.
Because it's a appreciation thing, isn't it? Just, you know, it's just, wherever you got going on now, what is actually going well? There must be something going well. Have you got a roof above your head? Have you got, you know, family that love you? I know I've said every time I do a radio show, but I love actually, because when you look, love actually is all around. I mean, you just have to see it. Go into a restaurant, people are sat together because they've chosen to sat together.
Yeah.
Christmas is the season of love. And when I say love, I don't mean boy, girl, boy, whatever. It's that just love of loving your friends, loving your family, loving life, loving. I mean, I think that's what we've got to kind of just focus on more. There must be something in your life to focus that you should be grateful for.
Definitely.
If you know what I mean.
I had a friend who recently almost had a chimney fire, and in taking all the rubbish outside and realising that they'd actually, there was one of them was saying, "Oh my God, look at the mess in here," and the other one just said, "Yeah, but at least we didn't have a fire."
Yeah.
Donut hole. Choose which one.
Yeah, it is. It is true. It's that attitude of gratitude. Eventually, you've got to kind of. That's where I aim to be more and more. Appreciate what I've got. But that's, some days you do want to kind of F this and F that and F. But just you have them days. Just let them go, and then look towards the next day. You know what I mean? That's what you can do.
Yeah, I agree with you. I have to admit, I use the C word a lot. Chocolate. Really helps.
See you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Oh. So life's good and life's fun, however bad it may seem at the time.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that brings us to the end. Any final words from you guys?
I'd just like to say thank you, Nick, for having me on. Thanks to anyone that's listened. I appreciate that as well. But just look forward to 2012 with love and joy. We're here to have a good time. We're here to kind of here for the ride. We're here for the fun, the ups and downs. Just to hold on and let's see what a great year we can make it.
Woohoo! Loving that. I second that. Cool.
Lovely, brilliant. And I just want to say thank you for having me on, and thank you, Benjamin, for your wonderful book and for your amazing friendship, which I've enjoyed for the past 3 or 4 or 5, however long years it is we've known one another. Feels
Many
like
lifetimes.
But at the end of time. And thank you. I appreciate both of you, in fact. So yeah, let 20.
Right, back at you.
Bring on 2012.
Yeah, too right.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon. Take care, everybody.
Thank you very much, mate.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Psychic Training Ground, the most encouraging, supportive, uplifting place to be. We hope you've enjoyed the show and we'll see you soon. All is well. There is great love here for you.